Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Natural State of Matters podcast. My name is Eric Ryan, co-host and your host.
Justin Bailey.
Both glad to be here. Appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to us. Providing you guys a little entertainment, hopefully while you're driving down the road. Maybe, I don't know.
On the toilet. That's when I listen to all my podcasts.
That's when I get so much done for me. That's my best me time.
I really think that it's the last. It's a married man's last true freedom. Like there's a South Park episode on it.
Yeah.
Or no. It was some other movie. I don't know. John, Google what movie that was.
By the way, we have John Fahm in the house today, so we've got a fact checker. It's pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't admit this on mic, but makes you where you want to sit down to pee just so you can have an extra minute to yourself. My wife, she's caught on to that little game. She hates it.
Yeah, she's like, you don't have some debilitating disease. You didn't need to be in the bathroom for 30 minutes. Okay. I'm like,
man, these beaches weren't going to boom themselves. Classic. So, how was your Thanksgiving, Bailey?
It was good. Lots of family and food.
You have a large family.
Yeah, I do.
So opposite of me. It's pretty cool.
Man, I feel really lucky though because, like, all the time in like TV shows you watch and stuff like that, people talk about how they do nothing but argue, and it's never that way at my family or even at my wife's family. Like we always leave like, man, that was a really good day. Yeah. The kids have fun. Like, I don't know. Let them have whatever they want. Coke, candy. Like, it's a free day for everybody,
Yeah.
And
that is impressive. I mean, I bet you guys spend a lot of time together, though. Just being a big family. Like, I bet being a big family, you guys relied on each other more, or everyone. I shouldn't say you, but everyone in the family relied on each other a lot.
Yeah. I think that that's part of it, too. I'm very close. Our family, even as big as it is, we're very close. We, always make a point to meet up and do things all together. And
I mean, I feel like
awesome.
I feel like I stress out big time just trying to raise one, even two kids. But I don't know. I guess I feel like if I had a big family, like we'd have to have a mechanic in the family, and we'd have to have
yeah, we got all that.
Everybody, you almost have to spend time with each other, even if you don't go out of your way and do it on purpose. But It's interesting you say that, though. I mean, like, you think there's something behind. Seems like people, when that tends to happen, it's usually like in-laws, right? I mean, maybe these people, it's just kind of like you didn't grow up the same, and so like smaller things bother you, but you guys have grown up in the same environment, same values, same awesome mother with awesome cooking. I really think I've had your mom's cooking before, and you're probably, I don't know if this has ever occurred to you, it might legitimately just be your mom's cooking that keeps everybody so close together.
It's a big part of it.
Your mom might be such a good cook that it never occurs to anybody to argue because they're so satiated and just incredibly happy.
It's a big part of it. And I mean, that being said, Tuesday's side of the family, they're totally different in their own way.
Right.
I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I love them. Like, they really accept me like I'm part of their family.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. But totally two different families.
well, you said their cooking was good.
Oh, it is awesome. It's amazing.
That wasn't like a layup. You said, hey, in the podcast, say that I said that Tuesday's family is good cooks too. You didn't do that. I'm just legitimately.
Oh.
I'm just saying legitimately. You told me that totally off the mic.
So did you have homie Thanksgiving?
No, we didn't do that. I haven't done that this year would be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think previously, John, look this up. How many years ago did we start homie Thanksgiving? Honestly, though, it had to have been, we probably did it for about 10 or 12 years, I think. And having kids changes it, which gives me a perspective. Like I see a lot of our friends, the Mizels and a lot of people that still always came and did stuff even though they had kids. And so it makes me feel really guilty about the fact that I have kids and all of a sudden, hey guys, party's off,
Mm-hmm. You were kind of our anchor.
Right. But maybe it was because my house didn't have kids in it. It changes it a lot. It's like they can get And Thanksgiving is I guess that's why it's so convenient for everybody, you have kids or not, because it's a pretty great day. Like, you're already with family, and family already loves to see the kids. They're usually off the next day. So we did that, I think. We had Connor for a year. I think his first year, maybe, we just had the in-laws keep Connor, and we did homey Thanksgiving. But last year, I invited everybody kind of last minute. It was like in the last maybe day or two. And Ray was the only person who showed up. Ray's my only real friend. And sorry, John, I think I invited everybody on Facebook. So, like, I brought that up. I was like, John was like, are you guys doing it this year? And I was like, no, man, nobody showed up last year. I invited everybody last minute. He's like, well, you didn't invite me. And I was like, oh, it was probably a Facebook thing.
I go to just my family and my wife's family. Takes the whole day. I don't have time to do anything else.
You think about that, though. When you say it takes all day, it took you all day.
I mean, I can't leave.
To, like, eat a meal.
Yeah, you got to sit down. I don't want to. I should say, like, it's a great day, and you don't want
to. Yeah.
You know.
I agree with that, but I mean, it took.
I don't want to hang out with y'all.
It took. It took all day before, but then you would force yourself to go through the night. You know, like, we didn't start homey Thanksgiving until usually like 8 o'clock. You know, so it wasn't like you were really sacrificing any from family time. You know.
No.
You know. So how's work, Bailey?
It's good.
It's good.
I got a ticket yesterday.
That's not fun.
No.
No. I was, I think it kind of stinks when you drive for your work because you're just going to be more prone to get a ticket.
Yeah, and the bad thing is like, I knew going up there, coming back, like, I had this feeling. And it's because I was traveling a back road, like I was taking 71 up towards Hot Springs. And not being on the interstate, you know, like, I can live with doing 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If I feel like the cops are out, I can live with that. I can't live with doing 55.
Yeah.
It's just like that Van Halen song, Sammy Hagar. I can't do 55. And sure enough, on the way back, he was waiting on me.
That's when they don't mind writing you a ticket. You saw the guilt in your eyes. You knew.
No, he saw my face, like, whenever I came over that hill, and I was like, ah! Like, he knew. I didn't even wait for him to turn around. I just went and pulled over.
You knew he was coming.
Yeah.
I've done that on my motorcycle.
He was a good guy. I mean, hell, he got me. The speed he told me is exactly what my speedometer said. Like, he wasn't trying to rip me. And he actually kind of helped me out because I was doing 18 over, and he knocked it down to 10 over. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know.
And, you know, that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
On your ticket.
Big time. Big time.
He could have took me to jail legally.
Yeah.
I was doing 18 over.
If you really wanted to, yeah. I don't know if it's just where we live or maybe a number of other factors, but I've had great experiences with the officers around here. And then, I mean, people talk, like, when I used to work downtown Fort Smith, I would invite people back to the house after work, and they would be like, yeah, cool. You know, like, maybe people I didn't know real well. I'd be like, yeah, why don't you come by the house? I've got a foosball table. We'll drink a bottle of wine. And people would be like, yeah, that sounds cool. Where do you live? And like, Van Buren. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to make it, you know? And I don't know that Van Buren has the reputation, or lives up to the reputation it has, I should say. I don't think it's just because they always recognize me, but I've been living in Van Buren for a little over 11 years now, and I just haven't had that kind of issue, you know?
Yeah, but, then again, really, you had to, if you can't drink, you're not going to come hang out with me. You couldn't just hang out and play some foosball with me, listen to some music.
Yeah, just show the friends, when you branch out.
That was probably me. I was probably like, I'm not leaving the house. Hell, I only live 3 blocks from you.
Yeah.
So, man, I was going to talk about the one thing that came up during Thanksgiving. We were watching TV. Political correctness and how ridiculous it can be. Now, I'm all for people who don't want to be a boy anymore or a girl. I really don't care. But I think you should pick one and stick with it.
Yeah.
I literally read a story the other day. Did you find out how many gender pronouns there are?
He
pronouns.
Did ask you gender pronouns. It's the thing you learned in English class.
So, there's really a thing. Like in New York State, you can literally be sued for calling someone by their wrong gender pronoun.
That's,
You can be expelled from college.
really.
Yeah, there's colleges that are picking it up where you have to list your gender pronoun. Like professors, have to put that they identify as a him or her
So because
or
these
his.
people
Yeah,
have new pronouns that they identify by, the system they have to change their websites, the way you're signing up.
yeah,
They have to change all the paperwork,
yeah.
and they have to enforce people being sensitive and politically correct to this, or they'll suspend you. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what about all the people?
Granted, my information is correct, but I mean it's a serious deal. Like it's posted on the LGBT website. How important it is. Here's my thing on it. I'll call you whatever you want me to, but stick with it. Like there's people now that are saying, "Well, in the morning when I wake up, I feel like a woman, but in the evening when I go to bed, I feel like a man."
That's obviously, come on.
Yeah.
But even beyond that.
Well, if you got a quality college application and you get scholarship for being a woman, which one do you think they're going to identify as?
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line? Is what I'm saying.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay, especially with people, flip flopping, depending on which side of the bed they woke up on. But aside from that, and I'm okay with change. I know that we have to adapt to change and things, and I guess maybe our culture is becoming more open to that. But I don't think you should just be able to invent new pronouns for this stuff. When you were inventing a new, mindset toward the culture, you knew what you were getting into.
Non-binary. That's another term.
Non-binary. What is
Yeah.
that?
That means you're not picking a gender.
Oh, okay. That's like agnostic of sex.
Yeah.
Like I'm not real sure. Could
Yeah.
be one way, it could be the other. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's crazy. This is kind of news to me. I'm just trying to.
You've never
digest
heard about
this.
this at all on Reddit or anything?
Man,
So have you looked them up?
Gender pronouns.
It's like Zer, or for like him, it'd be Zer and Z, and not she, it'd be, there's all kinds.
here's the thing. I think it's good. I
It's
think
crazy.
it's good to respect other people, and you gotta respect their feelings. You don't have to. A
45.
lot of people.
How
feel-
many?
It's 45.
There's 45 gender
What?
pronouns
Can
now.
you read some of them? That's crazy.
But,
Flayer.
what is the, flayer?
And it's Fayers.
What's that for? What's that under?
It doesn't really say.
Oh my god. Man, I think it's good to be respectful of others. Some people disagree with that. Some people if you're offended, get on a boat and go to another country type thing.
Yeah.
But I think people say that. It's funny. The people that I've seen in my experience that act all, tough about it, there are people out there who are seriously like, oh, this political correct crap, please, give me a break. I can't believe these people are offended over this stuff. It's like they're being offended over people's offensiveness. This thing can go on all day long. I can be offended by the fact that you're offended that people shouldn't be offended. It's just it's a never-ending deal. Seriously, the people who seem so up in arms over being politically correct are usually coming from a stance of oh, you gotta be kidding me. This bothers me. You're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be respectful of the fact that it bothers you because you're just telling me
Mm-hmm.
that we shouldn't care what other people think. I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. I'm not worried about you.
Well, yeah, isn't it okay to be offended? Since when did
Yeah.
it become a crime to be offended? I think that's a perfectly natural feeling to be offended by something.
Yeah.
And my advice when I was younger that I got was get away from that person that's offending you if you can't,
Yeah.
if you don't want to mess with it.
How about don't talk to them? Yeah,
Don't talk
it's
to
so
'em.
easy. Yeah.
I'm not saying that everything that the political correctness police are saying is wrong. Is wrong. There's a lot of things that's understandable that I wouldn't necessarily think is a big deal. But I'm not out to hurt anybody's feelings. If you can,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. People's feelings get hurt all the time. But what I'm saying, if you came up to me and you're like, I'm a dog from now on. I feel like I'm a dog species. That's how I'm going to live the rest of my life. I'd be like, okay, it's your life. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. But I really don't care. I don't care that Caitlyn Jenner is a woman now.
If I did that, you would not abide
all
by
right,
that
that's a
because-
horrible
because
example.
We know each other so well. No.
It's
Okay.
totally horrible that I just compared that to wanting to be from a male to female. I've met some really feminine guys that totally make sense if they were like, you know what, man, I'm just not comfortable with this. I feel more comfortable if I identify as a woman. I'm great. Stick with it, though.
That's one thing.
Like,
but
that's a huge decision. You have to be down to
Right.
your very soul
Right. But
that you're a
non-binary,
woman.
though, that's hermaphroditism, right?
No, it's just not choosing to identify as either a male or a
Yeah,
female.
but then you'd have to
Will
be
you look
both.
up that definition?
Is
Genderqueer.
Yeah, that means genderqueer, but it means not identifying, like you're different from being male or female.
so
It's just so crazy. You have to go to class. Well, like we need to sign up for college on this, and because there's too much information for me to talk about it and get the facts right.
So just hypothetical though, what do you think it is? If you're non-binary, are you either saying I'm both or I'm neither?
You're neither.
So they're saying sex does not apply to me. I'm neither
Right.
male nor female.
Yeah, you're the Prince sign. God
Nice.
rest his soul.
Good one. Yes.
If anybody was okay with being non-binary, it would be Prince. I'd be like, I get it. I get it.
It's funny what you get away with.
I want people to be
being
comfortable. I say if it's not hurting anybody. If you want to be a woman and you want to say you're a woman and you want to put on paper that you're a woman, go do it.
Yeah,
That's
fine.
great.
Who cares?
Awesome. Your life, I hope it brings you happiness.
Yeah.
Or man. If you're a woman, you want to be a man. Whatever. I don't care. But I just think that it's ridiculous that if you go back and forth on it. That's all I'm saying on that.
I'm going to say this. You're from Cedarville. How different do you think the younger you would have talked about this? Like,
Oh, I would have been against it. I would have been extremely
you know,
against
like if
it.
that person wants to be a girl, screw that, you know?
Yeah. I was your typical clothes. I don't know. I hate to say. I just had real. I hadn't been out in the world, man. I know you're not. I know you're not.
On you, but I guess the reason I bring it up is because I see the same thing in my school. Like when I went to school in Alma, you know, first of all, like it's always been a thing growing up for me where people made fun of homosexuality, like, and I guess that even.
But I was never around it. I didn't see
Well,
anybody that was truly struggling.
You say that you were though.
I was, and I just didn't. Wasn't
it was
looking.
Less accepted though. For one, there were probably people that were gay that didn't let anybody know because it was less accepted. And for two, there were probably people who were, you know, struggling with it. Basically, couldn't come to a realist view on it. You know,
Yeah.
self-inflection.
I think it's Patton Oswalt, the comedian. He was like, so, you know, yeah, there's people that are turning gay because, or no, it was David Cross. He was like, you know, they're saying that people are saying they're gay now to be cool. Or, you know, it's like, you get beat up every day as it is. How can I make my life better?
Yeah.
I know. I'll say I'm gay.
I heard that, yeah. I mean, that's where you got to tip your hat. Like, it definitely takes a lot of courage anyways.
It's still there today. People are more accepting of it, but can you imagine? I feel so sorry for people who were going through that in the, you know, back, even when I was in high school, but even farther back than that. Like, it was so unaccepted, man. It was just deviant behavior. It's crazy.
Tell me this, and okay, we're talking about basically our everyday kind of sentiment toward it, and I'm kind of curious how that reflects on our language, like things that you say. Like, for instance, I say, you know, oh, that's gay. You know, and to me that's a negative connotation. I'm referring to something like, oh, that's stupid, or that sucks,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And it doesn't matter how I refer to something. If I say that's retarded, there are people who are offended by that. I can
Mhm.
say something like that's gay or whatever. It's just kind of ingrained in. I mean, to me, it's kind of like racism. Like, I don't think racism is ever going to go away. I think we can become more aware of it. We can try to become more, you know, civilized, I guess, about it, and try to be sensitive to others. But to your point, like, where do you draw the line? Like, are we going to spend all our time worried about being sensitive to others where we can't? Okay, this is something interesting even. Something I did see on Reddit recently. There was a study done by either Cambridge or Cornell. I think it was Cornell. Cornell did a study that showed that that male and female that being politically correct, I guess, being sensitive toward politically correct, actually fostered creativity, like in the workplace. Basically, like whenever other people, like you said, if you're in the workplace and you're being offended, that's going to happen. That's
Mhm.
natural. But when it does, who has not? Tell me one person in the world who you've never been either offended or pissed off, one of the two, however you react to that, and it flusters you. You can't hardly think straight. You know.
It happens every time I get on Facebook.
Yeah,
And I read somebody's comments or a public post
so
or
if
something.
you don't do that out of sensitivity toward others, don't you think we should do it out of just sheer, like, if it's in a workplace, especially like productivity or efficiency, you know, like just
Mhm.
bottom line, like if you're really a company person, why not be sensitive toward that a little bit, just so that people can concentrate on their job a little bit better, and that you don't get lost in the hogwash of, you know, well, that guy's a dick, or I don't want to
Mhm.
work hard because my boss is a dick, or, you know, something like that, you know. So if for no other reason, if you don't care about the sensitivity of others, maybe you're more of a numbers person, there's a good reason, you know. It's
Mhm.
interesting. Maybe not.
No, I'm with you, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You can say things that offends me all day long, but nobody's gonna be taking a picture of me and writing down how my feelings got hurt, or there's not gonna be no public outcry, for shaming me for any reason.
I think you have a natural talent for kind of keeping a level head in a way. Not all the time. Trust me, I've seen you ticked off.
My wife is laughing when she hears that, man.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother story there, though. That's totally different.
I feel like I'm horrible at handling things. I feel
guess
like
the reason I
every
think
time that something happens to me, I always think I handled that so bad, and I freaked out, and I lost my mind.
Bottom line, though, the fact that you're reassessing it, you're looking back on it, reflecting. For
Mhm.
one, that's going to make you better. For two, it shows that you're actually sensitive toward that. You've got to be paying attention to it, and it's got to show that you
Mhm.
have to be a little bit better than somebody who just doesn't care at all. The reason I even say that in the first place, though, is I consider you a really naturally funny person. Like, I think you're funny as hell.
Aw.
And I think if you had the ability, when somebody says something, like sometimes I say something and I think, oh, he's pinned against the wall, his face is going to turn red, and then you zing me right back, and I'm just like, well, shit, I've got nothing. Now I'm flustered and pissed off, you know? And anyways, it's good. To me, it goes to say something about, like, comedians, people are funny. There's a sort of intelligence there, whether it be, it's just a different type of intelligence to me. And there's also, maybe you're a real sinister person, though. I think, like, comedians tend to be kind of sometimes dark people.
Now you sound like my wife.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes both. Maybe your wife only sees.
Sometimes I do have a
Maybe
real
she
negative look on
appreciates-
stuff, and I really try to combat that.
It makes
But
people funny. Well, Robin Williams, like, a lot of the great comedians, like, you see a really dark side. I mean, look at Louis C.K. the way he looks at parenting and his kids.
Mhm.
I don't think you can name a famous comedian out there who doesn't have, like, kind of some really kind of dark side.
angry.
Yeah.
Kinnison
or-
was one of those. He was yelling. He'd yell at you.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't around really for Kinnison, but I mean, when we were younger. But if you go back and watch his stuff now, he yelled about everything. That was what
Who's
made
this
him
guy?
funny. Kinnison.
I don't know if I've seen this.
He always wore the golfing hat.
Oh.
And gosh, I feel horrible that I can't tell you his whole name. What was his the comedian's name? Kinnison.
How do you spell his last name?
Kinnison.
It's Kinnison. Google's really good at correcting you if
Yeah.
you don't get it right.
I have his name wrong, but
on Reddit they showed me, like, people were googling who's the famous black science guy, and they bring up, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson, like the famous Chinese scientist.
somebody did that on Reddit. It was
Yeah.
extremely funny.
The other day I saw was
The
like
guy on a movie with weird eyebrows in it.
Yeah. Google is so good.
I
at
didn't
that
think
shit,
of his
man.
name, but I can see
Sam
him.
Kinison.
Sam Kinnison.
Oh, I'm gonna see his face. So I know what you're talking about. But yeah, seriously though. There
But
it
maybe
is.
that was my defense mechanism. Like there was things that hurt my feelings that people would say, and I would try to alleviate the situation by saying something funny.
Well, with your size, thankfully you chose that route.
I got picked on more. I got picked on more for being a big guy than I did if I was little.
See, but you could have not tolerated that.
But, yeah, my
could've
mama
chose
taught me
to
better than
take some
that.
lumps. Yeah, thank you. She was the same. Thank you for that. I bet, hey, I'll tell you, actually, it's real funny when the way we all met
Hmm.
back at Western Sizzling, you were the only food bar guy, and everybody else was either kitchen or dish room for the most part, and then Travis was, bakery. We all hated him because he got to eat the cookies.
You didn't remember far enough back. I started off in the dish room.
Yeah.
But I quit, or no, I should say I got fired and then I got
Did you?
yeah,
Okay.
I didn't show up. I just didn't show up.
They were like,
and then
"This
one
guy's
day I
too
got
soft
tired of
for
not
the
having
dish
any
kid."
money, and I went to Lori, and she's like, "You want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really need a job." She's like, "Okay."
I'll hire you back. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
No, where I'm bringing that up is the guy. Yeah, he was angry. And who's the guy that was like, smoking a cigarette? He's like
Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay seemed like real angry.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet.
Freaking Pryor. Who are all the great comedians like
Dave Chappelle.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
Eddie Murphy.
is really who I was trying to think
Richard
of.
Pryor.
Chris Rock. I mean, all of these people have really like sinister kind of like a dark side. George Carlin, for the love of God. Right?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Sometimes he quit being funny. He would just be talking on a rant that was so good. People didn't care he wasn't making them laugh.
Right.
Like, they just start clapping. Like, I've listened to a lot of him on Pandora, and he's not being that funny. But he's just telling you how it is. Like, especially his little bit about how the America and the government, they're just giving it to you. And we're like, please, give us some more. Yeah.
So, like, to be fair, though, looking at this list, I just Googled famous comedians. There's two here that stand out that really don't seem kind of negative and sinister to me. Is Jerry Seinfeld. That guy just seems like a pretty happy guy, right? I mean, he's always like, what's the deal with that, right? Like,
you got your apple juice. You got your orange juice. Why don't we have banana juice?
Like, he's got his qualms with the world, obviously. He's got some problems with it, but he was a pretty happy guy.
Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg, man, one of my favorite comedians of all time. That guy was hilarious, but that's probably why he did a bunch of heroin. He had some problems with the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Anyways, we get off subject, but I think that everybody copes with things different ways. I think that bullying's one. The Key and Peele. Did you see the Key and Peele episode recently? Mm-hmm. They posted that on Facebook, and they said there's a Key and Peele episode about bullying, and they said it's funny. It's funny until it gets so real that it's not funny anymore. Mm-hmm. And it really is. Like, it's just like they're just being open and honest with themselves about bullying and things, and it's like, these coping mechanisms that come toward, either being offended or being hurt, physically or emotionally or whatever, kind of define the outer lying parts of your personality, the parts that people, kind of see you for. It's like people don't like, Bailey always kept a good even keel, he always went to work. He never really called in much. I hope that's true.
It's true. It's totally true.
But people don't know you for that. They know you because you're funny and you like the Cubs and you drink whiskey.
Yeah.
Stuff
I
like
make
that.
beer.
Yeah, you make beer. Good stuff.
Well, everybody has to deal with things in their own way. I feel sorry for some people who are in this like political correctness deal that, like you said, they hide things. They have to keep things from people. I wish they could just be themselves. And I think that's what that got me like out of that mindset where gay people are weird. Like, it just doesn't bother me. And like even like church people help me out. They're like, hate the sin, don't hate the sinner. Like, that's fine if you don't agree with a person's lifestyle. There's many people there's probably not any one person that just completely agrees with another person's life, like what they do, right. Whether it's parenting or what they eat. Or, just anything. And I was like, I'm carrying around all this baggage of crap that doesn't have anything to do with me.
Well, do you think there's...
And I was like, that's it. I mean, and I'm not...
Well, would you not say... I mean, to me, this goes both ways. It's to me, I guess everything's a happy medium, but, I mean, do you not have something to say about people who do carry that baggage and don't kind of make waves? Like if somebody wants to, if somebody can't carry the baggage, is when they need to come out and they need people to accept them. They need to, they need to come out. They need to tell everybody. And basically, I'm not trying to say at all that that's a burden somebody should carry and they should be quiet about it. And I don't want to know that you're gay or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I guess it's different for me. Like I'm perfectly okay with that. If somebody's gay or whatever, I'm not really gonna treat them any different at all.
No.
But I also don't want you to make me feel weird about it. Like, I don't want you to just keep bringing it up to talk to me about it, because, hey, that's your thing. First of all, I don't know anything about it anyways.
Well, you don't have to be ashamed of being straight,
Oh, thank you. Oh, Jesus. I've been waiting for this moment. It's so awkward that it's on camera right now.
Yeah, you don't have to be ashamed of being straight. I just, like I said, and like, as good as that felt for me to just be like, why am I worried about what other people are doing? Like, can you imagine what it'd feel like for them to be able to be like, to come out of the closet, as you say, and
it's hard to imagine that there was a time
the relief
like
they would feel.
There's hard to imagine that there was a time like this where we like self-reflect and talk about everyone's feelings in Greek and Roman times. They were like openly gay, like it's almost synonymous with gay people.
Yeah.
And back then though, like when you think of the gay Greek and Romans, like they were brute force, like men's men. And,
Yeah.
Granted, it was probably a lot harder time to live back then.
Yeah.
But I guess that's kind of funny, it's like, that's everything in our humanity. Things are going to get softer, like I was listening to Bill Burr on the way here. Awesome comedian, by the way. He's pretty funny. And here's a pretty sinister view, but he was like, he's like, these days, people annoy the hell out of me. I see people, in the airport, and I think, man, we need a good epidemic. We need a good flu or a good swine flu to just come wipe out the weak, take off the weak. Mother Nature keeps trying to help us, and we won't let her. Go get your vaccinations,
Yeah.
And so anyways, our society just is going to become more soft. And but again, that to me that has nothing to do with like homosexuality, sexuality, period. Because again, you look like hard times, like Greek and Roman times,
Mm-hmm. Oh, we live too long.
Yeah.
We it's too hard to die.
Yeah.
We can go outside every day and probably not going to die if I just.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to die. I mean, God forbid you walk out here, you die. I'm sorry, but more than likely you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And we get offended by every little thing now.
We have more time.
To worry about it.
Well, to me, and looking at, I guess what bothers me the most is people who are so worried about political correctness. I think political correctness, there's nothing wrong with
It's more
talking about
baggage
it.
that I was talking about. It's more baggage you're putting on yourself worrying about how other people act.
Just talking about, do you mean actually like talking about political correctness and whether we're handling it right? Or
other people policing how we're supposed to be talking to people.
Okay. So, this is a hard thing to kind of clarify.
How hard is this if I called you a she and you're like, hey man, I'm actually a he. Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Obviously
yeah.
you look like, I'm talking about if I see somebody and I thought that they might be a girl.
Yeah.
And I accidentally said, or I purposely said she, but honestly didn't know. And they're like, actually, I'm a man.
Yeah.
So sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. And from then on, boom, you're a guy. I'd call you a guy. What's the big deal of that? Why I got to ask you your pronoun before I start having a conversation with you?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
That's what I was getting at. I got us off on a lot of stuff, but
no, that's fine. It's to me it's complicated, man. Like it's a sensitivity towards sensitiveness. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. How do you?
There's no way to get rid of it, and the more we talk about it, and the more deals people make about it, the more it's going to become an issue, and the more it's going to divide people.
Yeah.
And I believe that about race. Like, I think the more, I'm not saying there's definite issues we've got to bring up and we've got to talk about.
So that's interesting, though. Like, you listen to
But it also divides us in a way because it's asking you to join a group. You're either in this group that's for this, or you're, against it, and you're obviously in another group.
Right. And, I listened to a really long podcast one day. I sent it to you. You're a Joe Rogan fan. It was Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, and another comedian.
Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, Hannibal Buress. That guy's hilarious. He's funny. But anyways, they got on the race conversation, and Hannibal is obviously the only black guy here, and Sam Harris is, I think their personalities really clash because Sam Harris is very analytical and kind of meta picture thinking, like he looks at the big picture, wants to digest the numbers and statistics and overall kind of look at stuff like that. And so he starts getting kind of offended because, again, I think Sam Harris is coming from a point of view of looking at the big picture, and Hannibal is kind of like, hey man, you don't know what it's like. Like I've been on the streets of Chicago and have some cop harass me for this and that. And, they basically...
Oh, I do. I remember that part, yeah.
They kind of reined it in because, like, it was kind of spinning out of being a productive conversation. Like, they were, they were getting pissed at one another. And whoever the host was, like, he kind of really did a good job of reining it in and trying to say, hey, look, this guy's not trying to be like that. Please try to see it from his side, vice versa. And in the end, they were kind of asking the question, well, is there something productive to come from this? Like, we talk about this, and it seems, first of all, it gets hard to even talk about. Do we keep trying to talk about it? Is it going to make things worse? Are we going to piss each other off?
Yeah.
How do you have a productive conversation every time you talk about it? This is like a 3-hour podcast, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not easy to do that. Like, I guess where I'm going is, like, I wonder if society on the other side of that, right now, it just seems like a struggle for everybody, and everybody's worried about either being, offended or having to have extra effort to be politically correct. But on the other side, I'm curious to see if, like, as a civilization, we'll come out any more civilized. Like will there be productivity come from this? Where we can actually have conversations with each other and maybe be more sensitive. Just have empathy, man. That's should be kind of the word for the day.
It's just like that video I sent you with Bill Mayer, and he's like, I'm just as sick as the white people that say they're proud to be white as the liberals that are saying they're ashamed to be white. It's just as annoying.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to me, I guess. Like that seems like it really is a movement. The liberals who say they're ashamed to be white, privilege. Check my privilege.
And we don't see it as much. We're not in like a heavy populated area. Like we have our close group of people, so we don't. I can't honestly say I know what any minority is going through. I know I have friends that are minorities and stuff, and I've never felt like I needed to have a conversation with them about how, because they seem happy. They're my friends. If they want to talk about it, we can talk about it.
And I do take the stance, like if they don't, if I'm kind of like you, like I move on about it, I forget about it, I don't even want to talk about it, act like it's not even there, and if they're going to think I'm a prick, that's it. Like there are probably people who just thought I was a prick. It's like I didn't want to talk about it.
I'm going to teach my kids to love everybody and to not judge somebody by the color of their skin or what they believe, and if you don't,
hopefully they won't get picked on.
Judge them as a person, It doesn't. Yeah, that's all I can say is just you can spend all day on Facebook complaining about political correctness and racism and all that, but I feel like if you just want to really make a difference, then practice what you preach. Just be that person that you're talking about.
Be the change.
Teacher, exactly.
Whose quote was that? I think it was like Gandhi. Be the change
you want to see in the world. Yeah. And teach your kids to do the same thing, because it's our kids that, future generations, that's how it happens. You can have one guy that has an idea and pretty okay guy, but somehow he's a little racist.
Yeah.
Teaches his kids this, and maybe that kid, I don't know, they might pick up on that racism part and go off with it. Right. Like to an extreme. And it's like almost like a rumor you tell in someone's ear, and it just keeps getting passed along. Yeah. And by the time it gets 5 generations deep, you've got a kid that's doesn't, all these crazy ideas.
I want to clarify though, like look in our situation, would you not see more of the older people that I see that have a little bit of racism, Like, I just seem pretty
it's okay, they're old.
That. Yeah, I'm more tolerant. Like, they're old, they're racist. That's typical. And that's sad that I'm that way, but first of all, they're your elders, so you're not going to backtalk them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But
what are they going to do? They're
second of all, that kind of goes against what you're saying, though. Single cases, that can be very true, but globally, like big picture, maybe I'm more Sam Harris. Like, I think that's kind of going away. Like, people just kind of laugh at, my old racist grandpa, you know. Classic racist. By the way, my grandpa's not racist.
Neither is mine. Yeah.
But it's just.
Swear to God.
But it is like it does seem to be something that's disseminating. I guess trying to go out of our society. I don't think we'll ever get rid of racism, but it seems to be getting better. But it's crazy that there's such a flare up, and I don't know if that's like there's so much racially heated rhetoric these days, and I don't know if that has to do with kind of the timeline. Like, I think it could have a lot to do with what you're saying, like generations, like you know, what I guess it would be going on too, but previously it was just one generation up, where you know saw slavery, right? So
I mean,
that's an interesting thing that
when was
where things go
slavery?
up and
I mean,
down,
if
it's going to come back up.
you think just the '60s, they're hosing people down in the street.
Yeah,
They're being attacked by attack dogs.
segregated water fountains, and I mean that's crazy
That
for
was
us to think about that.
Crazy. That was 56 years ago.
Yeah.
That is such a short amount of time in the big
Oh,
picture.
Yeah, big time.
Look how far we've come in 56 years, though.
Yeah.
We have a black president. That's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, and so right now, I hope right now is just kind of like racism.
There's hope.
Came down. It's got to go back up before it keeps going down.
Why is it going up, though?
That's the natural flow.
Yeah.
Things can't just go in a straight line down. That's just,
Like it's like you get upset about something, and you've got to pick something to put it on.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, again, you got to think. Again, it's the timeline. I think it has to do with the generation before. You know, it has gotten exponentially better, but there are people who are never gonna. They're like, hey, listen, it's getting better, but don't you think things are great? Listen to this. Racism is not gone.
Yeah.
People want us to remember it, and it's not. I think it's important for us to remember it's not an unhealthy reminder. It's probably good. It is unhealthy when people are burning down shops and rioting and shooting police officers. That is absolutely. I mean, I'll just tell you right away, like that. Man, I got sick to my stomach. We were at a doctor's appointment for the baby the other day, and that was when I first saw, they had a whole bunch of officers shot recently, and I mean, oh my God, that makes me, that really pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really just get angry a whole lot. That makes me want to, just, I don't know.
Any kind of hate crime like that's awful.
Yeah.
But doesn't it go the same way for, like, say, for the LG, for the gay group that went against those bakers and fought it so hard they put them out of business?
What bakers?
The ones that they asked them to make a cake. It was a Christian bakery. Gay couple came in. They wanted them to make a cake.
This better not be the ABC baker.
They wanted to make a cake that was pretty much, for a gay person.
Yeah.
That said something blatantly obvious that it was for gay, and they refused. They fought that so hard, they put that person out. They put that bakery out of business and sued them. Did a class action lawsuit on them.
I mean,
that's not right either, because you're taking something that you're taking a stand on, and you're putting someone like they. I wouldn't have made them a cake if I didn't want to. I mean, like, I'm sure they need the. I disagree that. But that's not how I don't believe the same things they do. So
to me, I feel absolutely everybody. If you're a business owner, you should have the right to refuse service to anyone. As the dude says it, or in the Lebowski, like, doesn't mean you're not wrong, dude. You're just an asshole. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
just because they might be right and they're angry about it, if they want to show a good. Like the way to show somebody acceptance is if you don't accept me, I'm going to put you out of business and I'm going to sue you for millions of dollars.
I think that was a perfect case of two wrongs, though. Because to me, even like if I was the bakery and I didn't agree with something, call me a bitch. I'm going to do it anyways. Like, who cares? I'm not trying to make a statement by standing up. I'm not going to make your cake. Like,
we coined that phrase.
Cake. Justin Bailey, 2016.
Hope that doesn't offend anybody.
But seriously though, like I've never. I wish there was a good example of this in anything I've done. I would, I bartended. I have a good friend who bartended at a gay bar. Definitely straight, very straight, but he was comfortable bartending in a gay bar as a male. Like, you got to imagine he definitely deflected a few. Being hit on and a few advances, whatever. But, I think that's cool as hell for him. Like, I bet all in all, if he, people aren't making fun of her, I bet all in all that guy probably had a really cool experience. Like, had a really good time. Like, I bet it was pretty interesting, like, there's a comedian too that talks about difference between gay guys and gay girls. He's like gay guys. He's like, they're a lot of fun. You get a gay guy walk into a house party, you're like, hey, we got a live one here, guys.
It's a party now.
He's like, a lesbian walks in, everybody's like, uh-oh, she's pissed off. And that's probably a bad stereotype. We'll try to be politically correct. I'm not trying to offend anybody on this, but anyways, I think I would have been the other way. I would have just made the fucking cake. Who cares? You know.
Yeah.
If you're gay, I don't care. You wouldn't have made the cake.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? What?
I'm saying no. I would have made the cake, but I'm not that. I don't think that way. It wouldn't have bothered me. I'd be like, oh, cool. You know.
Who was the Arkansas? Was it in Arkansas? I don't remember. Maybe Justice Peace or whatever. That was refusing to sign the marriage certificate.
Was she in Arkansas? I don't know, but she was a clerk.
She wasn't in. Look that up. I think that they just recently had something come about that where they're trying to put her in jail for that. And I disagree with her. I think she should have done her job. It was legal, and your job is to do what's legal. Just do it. You know, your job isn't to
You're
tell
bound
us
by
your
the
personal
law.
preference, you know, or how you feel. I don't care how you feel. Do your job. How many times have I had to do my job?
Well, she could have resigned. She could have resigned her seat.
And that's what she should have done. I get it. Maybe costing her job. I get it, but I don't think it should cost her freedom. You know what I mean? I don't think she did any. And the gay people though probably feel the other way. Like, yeah, she did something, you know, that really offends me. I think she should be punished for it. You know, I felt like I was being punished.
Kim Davis, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky, Kim Davis.
Kim Davis.
They said, is there anything in the news? Like, I think they said something recently where they're trying to like put her in jail for that. And you know, again, this it's perfectly relevant. I think like the woman, you know, okay.
Was any laws broken by her refusing? I mean, isn't that actually a breaking a law?
Yeah, I think so.
By refusing the orders, if you're
but think about
appointed
this.
official.
Yeah, but do you think she should go to jail? I mean, let's say this. How about if I'm...
She couldn't be fired.
Okay,
well, that's weird.
Well, that's not a good example, but there are plenty of instances in a job where you could do something that's illegal. It's probably not a big deal. I guess it depends on how. And you wouldn't be put in jail. You'd be fired. You'd be like, look, you did something illegal.
She went to jail.
Did she?
Yeah, they did arrest her.
Go to jail.
Yeah, she did go to jail. They let her out though.
She served some time and she got out.
Like a day.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna cry.
Because I mean, yeah, they could. That's what I was saying. She did break the law. So, knowingly she broke the law. She could have said, "No, I can't do this. Y'all just gonna have to find another clerk."
Yeah.
That, you know, I'm sure they had a second in command that could have been interim.
I guess where this is interesting to me is, let me apply this to the alcohol industry. Like, I've seen bartenders get ticketed for serving an underage minor and not taking jail. You just get a ticket. You could get fired, whatever, different things like that. It's up to the employer. But think how offensive that must be to people. There are people who've lost their children's lives to drunk drivers or whatever, or maybe their kids shouldn't have been drinking and did something stupid. Like, and, you know, I'm sure there are people who definitely have gone to jail for that, but I guess that's kind of maybe in her case, you know, I guess that's another thing to keep in mind. Any situation like this, like that Kim Davis deal, that was such a nationally, you know, big attention deal. You know what I mean? There were a lot of...
Why wouldn't it be, though?
Yeah. Oh, no, I get it. I totally get it.
For the media, they're...
Oh, yeah. Hey, I think that's a great segue real quick. Me and a friend were talking about this the other day. What do you think, where do you think that this goes into the fake news thing? Where's the responsibility? Do you think the media reports on things that it knows people are going to eat it up? You know what I mean? That's part of their job, obviously. You know, think about these media outlets are getting paid off advertising, right? So there was a media that, you know, they talked about this fake news or whatever. They hunted down this media outlet that was basically an umbrella company. Basically, the guy kind of made money off putting out fake news. And the guy even said that he did it especially targeting Trump supporters, because he said that got the most traction, that gave him the most advertising dollars.
Right.
Bottom line, this guy's just talking about money. And they're interviewing the guy, and the guy says that, he's like, look, I don't think that my fake news swayed the election at all. He's like, there are too many factors out there. I don't think it swayed the election. First of all, I think that's pretty arguable considering how close the election was, first of all. But for two, you know, do you blame the guy? Like, the guy was making, they're saying that they wouldn't say how much this guy was making, but they said that his news outlet fell in the category of some news outlets that make maybe 10 to 30 grand a month. What do you think? You blame that guy?
What exactly are you asking me?
This guy's putting out fake news. Basically, one of the stories that led to this guy was saying that
and then that real news people pick it up.
No, not real news people, just everyday
Oh, I see.
Like, it's just propagated on social media and Google News or whatever. So, like, the specific news story that brought this up, the guy put out a news story that's saying that there was an FBI agent who brought out Clinton's emails or something, and he, an FBI agent from Texas, and all of a sudden was found murder-suicide, died. And so this was, it had been shared, they said in the first day, over 500,000 times. Had been shared, not viewed, so it had been viewed a lot more. So it had been shared over 500,000 times. Like, that, you know, a lot of people, if they, do you think people would be sharing that if they didn't believe it? I doubt it.
No.
They're sharing it because they think it's true. So over, 500,000 people believed that some FBI agent, was murdered or suicide over bringing out Clinton's emails. Like, so where I'm going with this is, fake news to me is a problem. I think to anybody, it doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're a Hillary or Trump supporter, I think everybody nobody likes being duped. You don't like if you repost a meme or something, people are like, dude, you're retarded. That's not true.
Hey, whenever a few years ago when they posted that they had Bigfoot in a freezer,
yeah,
and they got national attention for that, and they showed the video, I ate it up. I text all my buddies. I was like,
can you believe this?
Bigfoot lives. They finally found him, man. I made a big deal, big group text. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, they had a Bigfoot costume frozen in a freezer, like hilarious. A solid block of ice. And they had like possum guts. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was ate up with it. I was like, they did it. And I mean, like, the news people, they did it so well. Like, they had like on CNN and Fox News. So I was like, it's real. Yeah. It's real. They found Bigfoot. Man, I caught so much flack for that. But
there was a buddy of mine.
They had to get on, and like they did a press conference with the guys, and the guys kept it up. They're like, yeah, we were just out in the woods, and my buddy Dale here, he seen it and dragged it and put it in that freezer, and we froze it. And I was like, yeah, they did.
They got him.
They got him. Finally. I knew he was alive. I still believe.
But to that point, I mean, like, we would have done that. That seems like harmless fun to me.
But I probably pushed it. I probably had the enthusiasm. And I mean, most of my friends think I'm probably a half sensible person.
Yeah.
Like, probably I had them going.
You probably influenced
people to, like, here's the thing. Hell. It never, a lot of these stories, and what I'm trying to get at is the same stories like that happen on Facebook every day.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no one at the end of the day to be like, it was fake, you dummy.
There are a lot of outlets that are fact checking and Snopes.
But a lot of them don't. A lot of them, these Dipley ads and all that, they just say whatever they want. They get you to click. They just want you to click, and people read it and they're like, that's probably right.
Tell me where you think this is going, though. I mean, in our society right now, like, it's okay. We're probably reading and sharing more news than ever because of social media and stuff like that. And a lot of it being BS right now. Like, for one, you don't want people being duped. You don't want propagating false messages. But also, there's also the fear that a lot of people feel like these political figures are kind of controlling the people through this. In fact, there was who was the general? It was a really interesting story I just read. I was talking about the general that started up a campaign. Basically, they were using media outlets to try to control public perception. So this is guaranteed documented. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I don't think,
Here's my biggest thing. If you were following the election and you saw, like Joe was saying last week, the Pope loves Donald J. Trump,
Yeah.
If that was true, Donald Trump would be posting this stuff. If you really follow the candidates, these crazy stories would be posted by the candidates or their party.
But my problem
is... never would they, because if they did and it was wrong, it would be called out.
My problem is I think there's probably 1/3 of the people who would, be sensible enough to be like, come on, hold on, is this true? And there's probably a majority out there who that's all they need to see.
I know, but what I'm saying is that's your first sign right there. All these stories you're picking up, if it was like as true as some of these insane headlines said, the candidates would be posting it themselves on their page.
Yeah, but
they would be promoting this story.
The true truth doesn't matter to those people. The truth that they accepted.
They probably had people putting that stuff out there.
Vote,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think that it's almost criminal. It's almost as bad as the people that prey on the elderly for the home shopping network. You know,
what
like
do you do though? Do you instate a? Do you all of a sudden start? Because then you get real. To me, this is a real touchy subject. I was big in journalism, going through high school and whatnot. Do you start regulating news media's outlets, like what they can put out, what they can't
do it.
You can't, but it's obviously a problem. Like, how do we address this? And I
keep putting it in the public light. Like, it needs to be where people are using the internet for good. Like, actually doing some actual research.
People aren't ashamed of the fact that, you know, they believe a fake
Nobody,
news story, the fact that it came
even
from.
the dumbest person I know doesn't think I'm crazy when I say that Facebook's full of BS.
Oh, yeah.
The dumbest person I know, and I know some pretty dumb people.
He wasn't even looking.
But I don't know. You can't shut them up. You got to get them. You got to let them say whatever they want. You know. There's no easy solution on that one at all. I mean, you just have to promote people to do their own research, and if it's really that important to you, you would already be doing it. I feel like you would definitely not be going off Facebook for facts or
so to me,
the Onion.
This is real interesting full circle. Like, we have a problem with people propagating false messages, and there are a lot of people who feel like we have a problem with people propagating their true message, you know, their true identity. So, like, in a way, it's real interesting. Like, there's so much communication in our world that we're critical of, not only the mass false messages putting out, and also the singular, you know, self-identity truths. You know, like, you know, I don't want a false message, and I don't want to hear about. And again, there's both sides of this. You know, there's people on both sides of the fence, but I don't want to hear about your personal sexual preference. You know, I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear these fake messages. So maybe people are becoming more sensitive, I guess, to the information they're getting. Obviously, if you can be freaking
I would like it if people just didn't feel the need to tell me stuff like that, because it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Like, I wish the world. I feel like it would be a better place if we could just leave those details out.
That's why
because what does it matter?
That's why I say in the end.
How's it going to affect our conversation we're having right now? Like,
that's why I say in the end, I think our society will come out on the other side better, because regardless of which side you're on, the fact that we talked about it, it should go to that.
Like, if at the end of this you're like, by the way, I'm gay. I just flip the table over. It's all done. It's like, everything we said is crazy.
Like the interview. It's like I've been leaving you a little breadcrumb trail of homosexuality. Eminem is gay. No, but that was a good movie.
Yeah.
No, but man, I think either way, whatever side of the table on it, I think it's going to come to exactly what you're saying. Like, I don't think once people talk about it and they get it out, they'll feel better about it. We'll move on, and they won't feel like they have to talk about it anymore. People won't bring it up to you. They won't feel like they have the need. Hopefully, you know, in a racial, you know, if I'm in a racially awkward situation or whatever, like I'm in a room full of black guys I don't know and they're wondering about me, or I'm in a position of authority or whatever, hopefully we can come on to a future down the road where we've talked about it enough where people don't worry about it. I think that's a good reason. Bottom line, people talking, again, I'm from a psychology background, like, you talk about anything, ideally things should get better. Unless you're just talking about it with hatred and pointing your finger and saying you this, you that.
You brought up an interesting thing that made me think of, like, when you talk to somebody that's different than you don't have to be like them. You can be, like, I think that's what draws the biggest division. Like, you don't have to, like, if you talk to a black guy, and I mean, I'm not saying they talk weird or anything, but they are, you know, I can tell a black person talking any day out of the week most of the time.
But you say that.
That sounds horrible. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to try to talk like them. I'm not going to try to
say that. But there's so many things in the world that people think don't apply to
just
them.
Be
but
yourself.
It really does. You have surely
quit thinking that they're weird because they're different than you, and just be yourself, right. And then they be their self, and you find out the common ground.
What was
you know.
The guy? Remember we went to party down in Conway with Jay Wright, and we met a guy from the Honduras.
Mm-hmm. I don't know his name. I can't. I mean, Pablo.
Arnaldo.
Yeah, no, that's it. Donaldo.
Yeah, I can't believe I remember that guy's name. I hope he sees this someday. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm going to use him for an example because that guy had an accent. And I didn't feel like I needed to talk like that guy or anything, but human nature, you kind of do that. You start talking, like, if I'm from El Paso. When I started, I talk to Hispanics, I'd be like, hey, yeah, man, I know what you mean. Like, I just catch myself, like,
what's
not
wrong
even,
with you?
You've never done that.
Hey, John Von, how are you?
That was so racist. That's awesome. Good times. So, but you've never done that. I was on a ski lift one time. I was in Colorado, and I'm like 11 years old, by the way. So, picture 11-year-old me.
I'm not saying I haven't ever done anything to try to fit in, or
No, it's not that. No,
You mean just hearing them?
Just
you automatically are
subconsciously,
turning your voice a little
I shared a
bit.
ski lift with like this Swedish chick one time, and by the end of it, I was like, yeah. I was like, I agree.
That's just weird, Eric. I don't think anybody else has done that. Have you done that? Nope.
You don't feel yourself like changing.
Quit doing that too. It's very offensive. People think you're making fun of them, Eric.
It's probably more of a sympathy, or not sympathy, but like an empathy. But it's more of like an intrigue. Like Donaldo, for instance, I was intrigued by his accent. It was just an accent thing.
He didn't try talking like me.
You say that he lived here in Arkansas. You don't think he left? You don't think he went back to the Honduras? And people are like, you talk a little bit different. Bottom line, like here again, there's a perfect example. People think this stuff doesn't apply to them, but it's because you're not being honest enough. If you live somewhere, you come up with an accent. If you don't hear your accent right now.
Yeah.
But if you go to California, you're like, that guy talks like such a hick.
Yeah.
You're doing that because you're talking like the people around you. You're saying that.
I've been up to Wisconsin, and there were guys from.
You said Wisconsin? Did you just say Wisconsin? Rewind this.
There were people there from France that I was like saying to them, they wanted to know where I was from. They're like, whoa. Where are you from? Like, it was funny. It's funny how much people want to talk about my accent.
Oh yeah, but bottom line, that's a perfect example. You pick stuff up subconsciously.
All right.
It means you're not conscious about it, but you do it too.
All right. I'm not even exactly talking about that. I'm just saying like the things that divide us up. You don't have to talk. You don't have to like go out of your way to be like.
Oh, yeah.
To bridge the gap.
Okay.
I think you're more likely to bridge the gap if you just sit and talk like.
It's
okay,
like
you can say it however you want,
right.
Eric.
I get it.
No matter how weird it can get.
Listen to me. The two are related, but I get what you're saying. It's kind of like that Bill Maher spill where he was like, white privilege. Check your privilege. Yeah, I checked it. I'm privileged. Do you really need me to be sympathetic toward you? Like I get what you're saying. It's not like I don't have to change, who I am and the way I am because of, everything going on around me, which, again, I think part of this conversation, you should be sensitive toward it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that part of if you're going to gain, if you're going to have productivity in a conversation is maybe admitting that sometimes everything that you felt and knew was right, maybe it wasn't always right. Now, do you disagree like with that? Do you think, no, I don't think we should?
What I'm trying to say is like if I sit down in at a bus stop and a black man came up to me, I'm not going to sit there and try to think of my favorite rap song and ask him if he likes it too. I'm just saying I would just talk to him like I would any human being.
Yeah.
And I think that is where it gets weird and people start thinking they're so different from... Like, you're making it weird because you're thinking that there's such a division there that you have to, like, awkwardly...
I think you're hearing me wrong. If I see a black person, I'll be like, yo, what's up, man?
You will. You know you will.
But the bottom line, like, if you see a black person once, you're not going to do that. I know you well enough. You're a very genuine and, true to yourself person. But on the other side of that, like if you
I'm gonna shake his hand like I would shake your hand.
Yeah, but
like
if you grew up on the north side of Fort Smith as opposed to Natural Dam, you would be a little more homey. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Right.
So I'm not gonna act that way
because you didn't grow up there. You're acting the way you around the people you were growing up around. It's the same thing. Like people, it's more.
But that's okay. That's okay for me to be like that because that's where I'm from.
Yeah, but. Okay, so basically the division line here, what we're talking about is momentary instances. Like, I'm not going to get around somebody, change myself all of a sudden.
Exactly.
But regardless, like, the more time, those more, minute instances you have, like for instance, they were talking about, there was a really good John Oliver, he was talking about something along the lines, I can't remember what it was, but they were basically infusing cultures. Like the idea that okay, so this school has 98% white people, and in the same town but across town, this school is like 87% black, and so they were talking about relocating people so that they would all kind of be more of a 50-50 type thing. And I guess
that's how the first blacks came to Arkansas Central in Little Rock, because that's how they decided to do it, like a certain number.
Right. So in retrospect, like that was an important thing for everybody else historically, but for those individuals,
they didn't want to go.
Yeah,
those poor African Americans didn't want to go to that school no more than the white people. The racist assholes didn't want them to be there.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I feel sorry for them.
Like, like I don't think you should force it like that. But I think that people, that basically the mindset there is that if you don't necessarily need to force people. I don't think it's good to relocate. But then again, it's like, how do you possibly introduce more diversity or get people more acclimated to other cultures? Because, cultures have nuances, things in them that to me and you are probably kind of weird because we didn't grow up around that. But, the idea is that we can be more sympathetic toward different cultures.
Except that it is different, but be okay with it.
Right. Well, but there's, when you're talking, again, big picture, when you're talking about individuals, that's easy for you and I to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like we're kind of that way. Like there are people who have weird rituals and weird cultures, and that's weird. It's not for me. I don't care if you do it over there. That's cool. But there are a lot of other people who are like, no, man, those people are screwed up. That's stupid, man. They should, that's just ignorant. They're not like me. That's ignorant. Like I really do know. I know plenty of people who, as soon as they see or hear something, it's not like them. It's like people don't have the empathy to understand that when somebody sees something from a different perspective, that they're not going to agree with you. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to have the same perspective.
Yeah.
There really are a lot of people. Like, it's easy for you and I to say this, that, like, for instance, like the whole idea of introducing people to minority, schools and trying to infuse that to make it more of a 50-50. To me, that's a horrible idea. I'm way against that. I think that's a horrible idea. But when I think about some of the people who maybe would be more tolerant if they were forced into a situation like that, I think it could be beneficial to society. I don't
like volunteering.
Well, no, because the people who volunteer are people like me and you.
How do you make them get along then? How do you?
It was proposed that they should relocate people, kind of against their will. There's no way that you can think that's right. But again, I think this goes back to the fact that
it's kind of like when your brother and sister's not getting along, and your mom puts this one T-shirt on them.
It makes you both sit in the same seat on the long car ride.
I don't know. It's not the worst idea ever. I mean,
yeah,
claw each other's faces off, and then
it seems wrong to me in certain ways. But again, I see the merit.
They became friends and Remember the Titans.
There you go.
Yeah. John, have you always identified as Asian American, or do you ever think sometimes you're white?
I'm whitewashed.
Yeah. Whitewashed. That sounded weird to me. Do you ever sometimes think that you're white?
Well, I have I have friends that have a Caucasian parent and a minority parent that.
And they choose to identify with.
No, they always go with the minority.
Really?
Everyone that I know. I'm not saying everybody does that.
Yeah. That's interesting. I
I
wonder
go
what's
with the
behind
Asian, though.
that.
I'm pretty much saying Vietnamese, but then
And really,
I'm also half Caucasian.
yeah. So you, same case with you though. You're 50-50. You know,
Yeah.
you have Vietnamese and white.
Growing up, though, I looked really, really Asian. Like little kid, that's a little Asian baby.
Right.
See. Now you probably can't see it so much.
Well, okay. So this is a good point.
Well, you're a good-looking man.
Do you not think that you identify with the minority more because that's what stuck out? That's how other people identified you.
Yeah, people
So-
knew that growing up. It's
Yeah.
like, you're a Chinese kid, you're whatever.
Chinese.
That's what it was. You're a Chinese kid.
So
Yeah, maybe that's why, because it'd be way harder
it's for
to be like, no, actually, I'm a white person.
It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, John's not gonna be like, I'm white.
Yeah.
I'm just as white.
I don't care what you say, you ain't white.
Again, that's other people's reaction. Kind of,
Besides me, has anyone ever talked to you differently because you were Asian?
Growing up, yeah, people are like being kind of racist dick. Someone did it to me in church when I was this little kid. You go, oh, how you doing? How you doing? It's an older man, you know. I remember just as a kid, like, wow,
See?
this guy was just like being.
You're like, I wish I knew a good word like dickhead or something.
So tell me this, man. I think this is pretty interesting. We're really drawing a lot of lines between racism and sexuality. Like, to me, I think we're having a lot of comparisons, but there are a lot of things.
Doesn't that all go along with the political correctness we're kind of talking about?
It does, but I guess I'm looking more from an introspective perspective. What I'm curious about is things that are different. Like, I guess this gets into the argument like race or ethnicity you're kind of born with. Sexuality, this goes to that argument. Are you born with your sexuality, or do you identify it through the ways that others? For instance, we're talking about the fact that when you were growing
up... Did I get a niner in there?
It was hard for people when you were growing up in school to be open about being homosexual. And I'm not going to name any names, but I knew a homosexual from Cedarville that was like famous. Everybody knew his name. When I started hanging out with all these Cedarville people, like, we said his name weekly or whatever, because it was a bigger deal back then to us now. And it was a bigger deal back then, than it is now. And so back then, it was harder for people to come out about that. Basically they couldn't identify themselves, so they struggle a lot more. You have a lot of more internal struggle because you're identifying off the reflection of others. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then nowadays, I bet there's probably open gay people that go to Cedarville that probably wouldn't have the same level of happiness that they would have back when you were in high school. Right?
Oh, man.
Is that pretty fair to say, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I know of people in my class that were obviously gay then, but they never made that a public announcement, and now they are very, outspoken about it, and I'm so happy for them. And I really wasn't, you always want to look at yourself positively, but I really never, even back when I was probably, holding on to all that baggage and was against stuff like that, I never wanted to bring, because I had my flaws and I was really insecure myself, and I might have done things or said things that I at the time didn't think was a big deal, but I don't think I did. Yeah. And I'm really happy for those people now that they're happy.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that they went through their whole high school. Because high school was great for me, man. It was a blast, and I think about some of the.
So here you are.
I wasn't the biggest bully. I didn't bully people.
We're talking about sex or sexuality, but you're kind of. It's almost like seeing two sides of the coin, because you're also saying like, if you're white, you shouldn't feel guilty that you're white. Like, I feel bad for the privilege that I had, but really it was like a sexuality privilege. You were on the right side of the fence. The fact that you were straight.
Yeah, thank God I was straight, man. Yeah,
thank God that you shouldn't say thank God that I'm white though, right? Like, thank God that I'm straight.
No, I don't know. I think it's pointless to say you're proud to be white, because it's been pretty good for us.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It's the same thing on both
it's like,
sides.
We get it. All right, it's good.
Thank God I'm straight. I guess that even sounds crazy to say,
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't say, thank God I'm straight. Oh, man, that's great to be straight.
Yeah, my life would suck if I was gay. Oh,
that's not the case. Like, I don't feel that way, but it's interesting.
I guess I when I say that, I just mean...
Don't
I feel bad they couldn't be themselves.
I wasn't trying to put different words in your mouth.
I understand. I'm just saying, I feel like I feel bad that they couldn't, if they felt like they couldn't be themselves.
Yeah.
When I'm over there just being a total jackass in biology, and they couldn't.
Yeah. I agree.
It's such a small man. I think when we're blipped out of this earth, I think it's gonna. If anybody comes back, they thought about this. This is their biggest issue. Polar ice caps are melting away, and they're worried about who's having sex with who.
Well, that's why I think that, when you're younger, I guess you're in adolescent stage. It's a real awkward phase. You're trying to self-identify. You're trying to find yourself, your utility, your place, and trying to gain friendship of others and things like that. It really does. It magnifies such small those to anybody listening. If you've ever struggled with this, I hope in the end, you realize that it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. It's not. It's probably one of the least detrimental things to society that anybody can really talk about. It shouldn't be as much of a conversation, I guess, as it is. But the fact that we have a problem with it, I think it's good that we do talk about it, I guess, is the way I see it. Like, I do, I'm the same way as you. Like, I feel bad for anybody in high school. I feel bad the fact that I kind of use that subconsciously. I use that terminology. I say, like, oh, that was gay, Like, I wish I didn't do that. That's habit is the hardest thing.
Even though
to
most
change.
of this stuff, you never meant that as,
Oh, no,
that is two guys doing it.
Well, there again, there's another comedian. He's like, was that Louis C.K.? He's
Yeah.
like, when I say gay, I don't mean like, two guys doing it or whatever, But, anyways, again, I try to be sensitive toward others, so I hope that I never offend anybody when I say that. But how could you not? Like, if you were gay growing up and you always heard everybody refer to everything that sucked as your sexual preference,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it'd be tough.
How do you not kind of like, man, tough crowd.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of good things. It's easy to be long-winded on these, and it just seems like it's been 20 minutes, which that's pretty typical. Thanks for having us here in your secret Batcave location for the podcast. It's pretty sweet.
Professional recording studio.
Yeah, don't ask John how long it took us to set this up.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
you,
Rose.
John, for being here.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. We hope that anybody in your life that you sacrifice time away to be here appreciates.
Nothing like two white dudes talking about two white straight dudes talking about political correctness and gay people.
I think
But I hope that we did it in a positive way.
Yeah. I hope we didn't offend anybody, because that's got to be a hard thing. Like, I don't know. Again, I think a big part of the conversation, like, there are probably things that we were very blind to. We're probably
Yes.
I feel like we're both kind of sympathetic toward the struggle.
I'm going to teach my children to love human beings and to treat people how they want to be treated.
That's number one. That's the goal.
Got to treat our kids, man, to be good. Love everybody and don't hurt people.
That's right.
That's easy rules. Don't hurt people.
Yeah.
Love everybody and be kind.
It's the golden rule.
Yeah.
I think,
Treat people how you want to be treated.
Everyone's lives are equally as important to you. We live a lot longer, so life is very valuable. It's something to be cherished. Thankful every day. But hey, that's a good ending note. Leaving Thanksgiving, I hope everybody's still remaining thankful going into the season of giving, because the season of giving, I think, can be a convoluted mess sometimes these days. If you know what I mean, Bailey.
I know what you mean. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Tune in next week for Natural State of Matters.